Three, two, one.
Boom.
You completely ruined my intro. Completely ruined my
Ah, we can
intro.
we can start again. It's
It's
all
the
right.
second week in a row my intro's been ruined. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FiveMarks Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, as always, Mr. Martin115, joined by my lovely dance partner, Carmo.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another week.
Oh, he knows the sayings.
I listened to the episodes and I'm not on like.
I am joined by the lovely Emmett this week.
How are you, ladies and gentlemen? Hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are. You lovely boys.
Unfortunately, Carmo is out sick. It's contagious. He might die, but look, the five marks has to go on. So
You got
we've
scurvy.
yeah got it from Will of all people as well. That's because Will doesn't brush his teeth. But
Oh,
anyways,
we can't mention the disease he got off of Will, or will we be taken off the
I've already
air?
got off Will. So
Oof, that was a tough show.
how are you, Mister Schmig?
I'm good. I'm in great form. By the time this comes out, I'll have been and gone to Dublin. I'm going to see Pantera this week, who were like one of my favorite bands as a teenager. We had Hard Knocks last week. We had OTT not long before that. Was in Scotland as well only last week, so I've had a busy few weeks. But
I
yeah, tipping away. Very, very happy out. That was a very
no
strange sentence to say.
little happy boy on the podcast.
Ah.
Oh, he's so cute. Look at him, that's a smile.
Oh, shucks. Actually, did you look at any of the photos from For the Love of Wrestling?
I did. I very much regret
Mm.
not going.
I do too. That was one thing I was going to bring up at the start because, like, as soon as I knew that it's the last time Sting is coming over wearing the war paint, so there's every chance he'll come back over again, anyways. But like,
It won't be the
I don't
war
know.
paint.
No, and it's kind of like this is going to sound awful now, and this is nothing against Sting or anything like that, right? But if you were to show like a casual fan or someone who knows of Sting a photo of you with Steve Borden and he's got no face paint on, are they going to know that it's Sting? Do you know what I mean? Like, see,
That's
do you know he's.
Stang. It's Stang.
Yeah, and it reminded me too seeing I'll pass over it now in like 2 seconds, but like seeing Sting in the paints, everything just for God knows what reason, I just thought of that match he had with AJ Styles in 2009, and I was just like, I was in Edinburgh when I saw, or in Glasgow when I saw this, and I was just like, we should have gone to Manchester,
We
110%.
100% should have, but we thought there was going to be something else on, and something else happened a week later. Thanks, sorry, Knox.
Yeah. Oh, I was raging over that. So mad.
So, one second, I put my phone on silent because people are texting me. Don't be texting me while I'm doing the podcast stuff. God, all you
It's just
weirdos
Will
on this.
sending dirty texts.
No, that happens all the time. He'll deny it, but that boy ain't right. So, Emmett, what are we here to talk about?
So, because of the ailments that protruded our two boys, well, actually, Will is just busy today, now, in fairness, because
Boys.
he's got college and work. Boys. I was listening to that song Boyzone by Rubber Bandits there recently enough, and like, sorry, I'm just explaining why I keep saying this. It was like the chorus was like, Boyzone, you've got nothing to lose. And that was like, I was listening to that as our situation with the episode went on. Anyways, it's just because it was the two of us this week we were like, will we talk about a topic or whatever like that? I was like, will we review the Hard Knock show? And I was like, with the two of us, was that work, whatever. So we had the bright idea because we've done this on the social media pages, but we've never done it as an episode. Is we handed over this week's topic conversation to you guys, the listeners of this, the Fight Marks Pro Wrestling podcast, and we asked you for your wrestling opinions, questions, takes, anything and everything. I asked Martin just before we got in the air, did we get many questions? Turns out we
No,
got a lot of questions. No, we got none. Oh, never mind.
we got none. Really, 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 really.
But no, we have enough to do an episode.
We
So
have
yeah,
more than
and
enough. I'm
apparently there's
hoping
some
we get
very.
through all of them. Like, honest to God, this was like one of the best responses that we've like ever really gotten. Like, we've gotten a good few
Mm.
questions before, but like this is just never fucking ends. So
And it was
again,
all just from one person.
Carmel. It was all from Carmel. No. Many people responded, and again, appreciate everyone responding and asking your questions. We asked for some hot takes, we asked for podcast questions. Did you want to ask those? And we're going to get into them because we have about an hour and whatever time it's going to take us to get through them all. So it's going to be a fun one.
Happy days.
I'm thinking, where do we start? Do we start off hot, or we just talk about the podcast? What do you reckon?
I'd say just we'll do them in order, even if they're completely unrelated, because we run the risk of skipping a question as a result if we start mixing and matching them. And I do want to try and get through all of them. And to anyone who took out the time to ask us a question, do you know what I mean?
You fools. Wasting your time watching us. So.
Oh, actually, fun fact, it's 3 years this month since I sent you that text. I was thinking about that yesterday.
17th, I think it was, or something like that.
It's also been, oh my God, yeah. Because I had a Facebook memory coming up about when I was isolated with COVID.
Well, I'll ask you this question. You started off, and because I posted about it on the 1 year anniversary of it, I can actually get that text. But so, first topic to come in. Who is the best wrestler to come from Ireland who never quite managed to show it in the end? So who is the best wrestler to never really get that opportunity from Ireland?
From Ireland. I'm going to go out on a whim. People are going to disagree with me now because he gets a lot of praise and everything like that. But he never held a world title, and he wasn't really in a prominent position when he was in the WWE as an active performer. I'm actually going to say Finlay.
That was the first name that came to my head.
Yeah.
But you reckon age had a factor in that? Because he wasn't a young guy when he came to the WWE, do you know? Do you know, he'd been around with WCW and everything. You know, he fought here in Ireland, the UK and everything. And then he was a coach for WWE for many, many years. And then he got the opportunity.
Yeah, do you know what the thing is with that? I do wonder why they did that, why they had him go from a coach to then being an active talent. Like, do you know what I mean? But I don't know, because he always had it when it came to oh my God, there's stuff he did with Regal and WCW, like early in WCW and everything. That's amazing. That's aged really well. There was actually one of them uploaded to that WWE Vaults YouTube channel recently enough. And it's a fantastic match. It's like 17 minutes, but the two lads are legit beating the shit out of each other. Like, you can hear the thumps and they're hitting each other in the back and everything, like they're landing them down. But I don't know. Maybe he rubbed people the wrong way because apparently, like, he's a tough fucker as well. So, like, you know, maybe he was working people a bit too hard or whatever like that, and people were taking disliking him. But, you know, with the age thing and everything, though, I don't know why that decision was made to bring him in as a coach and then an active talent. But in fairness to him, he's the one who practically trained like Trish Stratus and stuff like that as well. Like, he had a big hand to play in like the women's division.
I feel like that 100% played a factor though into actually bringing him up, because you know, I can't remember what the documentary was about, but there was a documentary, and you know, I think it was the Ruthless Aggression ones. And you got like the talk from like Trish and Victoria and all them who were like training with Fit, who was pushing the envelope. Like that, they're told, don't do what the guys do, and Fitz like, let's do a bit of wrestling, let's see what we can get away with, and really put it. Like he was being told, don't be doing that, and then Fitz like, nah, fuck you guys, I'm from Ireland, fucking do something about it, and just threw in wrestling to their matches. You know, that maybe that was a factor of like respect and stuff like that.
And it worked out because, like, Jesus, like, if you look at like the quality of the women's wrestling WWE, not to go super off topic, from when he was coaching to then when he was like an actual active talent in the ring, from when he stepped away from that role, it went from being pretty good with the exception of like the bra and panties matches and stuff to being the drizzling bits. Like, do you know what I mean? If you look at like women's wrestling WWE from like 2005 onwards, it's bad until you get to like the women's kind of revolution stuff that happened. But yeah, Finley's definitely number one with the bullet. I can't see. I watched a small little reel on Instagram earlier today where, like, what was it? Trent Seven was on a different podcast talking about like British talents and everything like that. He started mentioning Irish names as well.
I've seen this, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like everyone from Ireland, for the most part, who's gone stateside or to Japan, has usually made it. Like, just this past month, first ever women's intercontinental champion,
Lyra Valkyria.
Irish. Yep. First Universal Champion, Irish. What is it? Sheamus, first or second pay-per-view match, puts John Cena through a table, wins the WWE title less than 6 months after like going on the main roster. Like there's loads of examples of it, like, do you know what I mean? And it's gas when you think about it because it's not something that would ever like come to mind. Do you know what I mean? But and that's only what's happened now. As well as that first ever like winner of a female main event of WrestleMania, Becky Lynch. Like, do you know what I mean? There's loads of accolades behind the Irish pro wrestlers. Like,
On the Irish! Adding on to that question, because I noticed there was actually part two. So I love the fifth Finley answer, and I actually have an answer for this one. And so it was who is the best Irish wrestler come from Ireland who never quite managed to show it in the mainstream promotions of North America and Japan? Do you know who's the first name that comes to my head? And it's nothing to do with the fact that he did poorly over there or just didn't meet the level, but it's more of the fact that it never went anywhere. Is Sean Max Guinness.
yeah, I actually never knew that he'd went to Japan until only a few months
Yeah,
ago.
went to Japan. Him and Jordan were a team.
Mm,
Look at Jordan now, and I love, obviously wearing the fucking t-shirt. Love the fact that he's here, social elite. But I feel like that Sean Guinness is one of the best talents we have here in Ireland, who's been to Japan, who's been around the world,
mm.
who just hasn't made it yet.
Yeah, I wonder why. Like, because he's fantastic, and that's I know it sounds a bit biased, but like if you look at the match with him and Jordan Devlin against Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee, that now is like a wrestling match I would show to someone who's never watched wrestling before. It is fantastic, like, do you know what I mean? And he's one of the showcases of that match, like, do you know?
Yeah,
So maybe I don't know.
but look,
Maybe there's an argument to be said he's too good, so they were just like, "Do you know something, you're not outshining the
no
rest of us here."
professionals, please. But there could still be
Mm,
time, do you know? Like, it's not like it can't happen ever again. I mean, look at the social lead,
yeah.
how well the social lead are doing. I really feel like that somehow has, like, not revived, but it's given him something to work with, do you know?
Mm,
I think Bullet Smith is one of the best up and comers we have in Ireland at the moment. Obviously, we have our Kean Noonans, we have the Sam and stuff like that. But just I feel like for someone who's so young in their career and doing what he does, I think that Bullet is one of the best up and comers we have, and he's learning from Sean Max Guinness, which is just the best person you could possibly learn from. So we could see the socially take off, and that's his way into would it be Progress, Rev Pro, New Japan, Noah,
yeah.
AEW. You know, I love the socially. I don't hide that. Love the fucking boys, and I hope to God as a tag team that they're able to go worldwide. Do you know? So that's the first name that came to my head with that one.
Yeah. Do you know what's one thing I always think of when I think about social media as well? And it goes back
How
to
great they are.
they are fantastic. Pinky's up for the boys. But I always think back to the interview that you guys did with Matthew about maybe 2.5 years ago. Well, not the mental health one, but the very first
The
one you did
first
with him.
one.
The very first one. And he mentioned that his uncle was involved with NWA Ireland back in the day and everything like this. And I like the thought, now I don't know if this is the case or not. I've never asked anybody this because it would be probably a bit nosy. But I like the notion that like OTT paired Bullet Smith with Maxer so that they were like, he'll look after you now and everything else. You're going to learn in real time from one of the best there is and everything like that. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's working fantastically because a great one actually is if you look back at the first stadium show that the social leader in when they have the match against like Paddy M and or who was it? Paddy M's retirement match basically.
With Paddy M, yeah.
Compare that was it, yeah. Compare that match to the watch it not their last defense in Belfast. And like both matches are great, but it's like night and day. Do
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like they're
100%.
big
But the
time.
thing is, right? I don't know if this is a test to Sean Max Guinness or both guys, even like Paul Tracy. The very
Mm,
first time we saw them when we went to that school show, instantly I was like, I like these guys. I
yeah.
really like
Yeah.
these guys. I miss
Mm,
Paul Tracy being in the mix. I was delighted, obviously, that
yeah.
he was in the mix when we got to the
Yeah.
the Judgment Day match. Do
Yeah.
you know? Hopefully, the Lord of the Manor can come back at some point and be with the boys. But look, the socially, I think, are a good way for Sean to maybe get that foot in the door. So
I think as well, I do. Sorry, my phone is going 90 here. I do not miss their original theme song though. The orchestral. It worked because it worked because it was very annoying, but not in a good way. Whenever I hear what makes a man now, I'm just like, oh yes, suits him so much.
I'd like to remind everyone as well, longest reigning OTT Tag Team Champions, current and only longest reigning Hard Knocks Tag Team Champions, the social lead. Edward Tate could never be as big a fan as me. Why isn't Will involved? Because he's dead. Also, everybody, the FiveMarks Extra. Please go check out our brand new YouTube channel where currently we have 2 episodes, technically 3 with episode 2 being 2 weeks, of our My GM trial episodes. So these are only things we put out to kind of give an idea, see what people like, because we are doing it for WWE 2K25, myself, Carmo, and Will. So go check out, go subscribe to the FiveMarks Extra. Link will be in the description below. And let us know what you think with much, much more stuff coming to the channel very, very soon. Bang, bang. Great advertising, right?
That was very good. Right here in the
Right here.
podcast.
And make sure to subscribe right here to the FiveMarks YouTube channel.
We have fun here on the FiveMarks.
The WWE Netflix deal is a flop and won't recover. What are your thoughts so far, Emmett, of the Netflix deal?
I think it's working fantastically. And you know why I think it's working fantastically is because I know everyone kind of pinpoints the mainstream media attention WWE have been getting to like last year's Road to WrestleMania. This mainstream attention with the Netflix thing, especially for Raw, is 10 times that I feel. But as well as that, like I find since all of the well, not all the content, but since like most of WWE's content is now on Netflix compared to when it was on the network, I find if I'm on Netflix now, rather than sitting down and watching something silly like an episode of Benidorm, I'm actually more inclined to
Yeah.
actually watch the content on Netflix as opposed to that. Because it was just when you had the WWE network, it was just way, way too much. Do you know what I mean? And I love like old AWA and Mid Southwest stuff and all that kind of crack and old school ECW and everything like that. But when you've got all of it there, it can be a bit bombarding. Whereas it's like, right, here's your little blocks, here are your rumbles, here are your summer slams, here are your chambers, here's the yeah, and actually I'll tell you this much now, and this is a testament to how well I think the deal is working. I never ever watched Raw or SmackDown weekly. Not in over 10
But
years.
you are now because it's just there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the
Yeah. And I
exact
will
same.
watch everything. And I'm watching NXT now, which I never people going about like the gold and black and gold there. I've
Did you
never
watch
watched a
this
full
week's
episode during
NXT?
yes.
Oh my
Oh, I was
god, Moose coming out was I literally I didn't watch it live. I woke up next morning, went onto YouTube, because I was going to work. And I was like, fuck off, we didn't finally just
yeah.
get Moose. And then to see it was Moose and Oba,
Oh,
can't
I was in heaven.
fucking wait. And then the Hardy Boys next week.
Yeah. But you know what's the gas one? I know they're building Obafemi like mad, right? And there seems to be this thing that people assume when someone has the NXT championship that they have it the once, they lose it at some point, putting someone over, and then they go to the main roster. I can genuinely see him dropping the belt to Moose for a short little run. Could you imagine it if you
I'd
had
love
the
it.
TNA X
Yeah,
division?
yeah, yeah.
Oh man, that now to me, I would lose my mind. I'd be like, that is perfect. And like they could do like a trilogy of matches over the belt, swap it back and forth. You'd have both lads looking strong. It does good business for NXT. It does good business for TNA. You know what I mean? Because with all this stuff going on now, this is another thing I will say too. The merger I think is absolutely fantastic because since the TNA, NXT, WWE kind of thing started, I've been watching TNA as well,
I
like which is
I've been
gas.
contemplating the whole time before. I was like, I'm not gonna get that TNA subscription. I'm contemplating getting it because it isn't like
Mm,
no like the content to me hasn't changed. Okay, it's still the same TNA. TNA was great, but the fact that you could have the intertwine of NXT, TNA, the fact that you have Fraxium going over there, of course Jade seems to be a bit of a regular at the moment. You know, I fucking love that shit. I'd love to see people who aren't being used on NXT maybe hop over there, maybe send Gallus over
Yeah.
TNA, I think they could work great over there. You've Wesley and the Rascals continuing their rivalry, which I fucking love. And the whole
Mm.
partnership is fucking great. And the one thing I'd love to see, and I don't know if it's going to happen this year, a TNA World Championship match at WrestleMania.
I think it is going to happen. I genuinely think it's going to happen. People at home, you can say I'm mad or whatever like this, but like I can fully see Cena not winning that chamber match next week, being out on Raw, being like, I guess it's not happening this year. Say his name and he appears. Joe Henry walks out, offers him an opportunity at the TNA World Title at WrestleMania. Yeah, it'd be perfect. That to me now would be the match I'd be most excited for at Mania if it happens. Now
100%.
I could be talking at my ears. Maybe it's never going to
But
happen.
the
But
thing
he's
is, he
mentioned quite a
doesn't have to
lot.
beat Joe Hendry realistically. He doesn't. I know people will be
No,
kind of like, it's John Cena. He has to beat Joe. He doesn't. And how cool would it be? Like, you have 4 weeks build of WrestleMania. You've John Cena on TNA.
but like,
Never
isn't
ever would you
the
have thought that would happen.
no, and this is the thing that makes it so cool as well because like I'm talking about a pre AJ Styles in WWE World now, right? But back in his peak TNA run when Styles was in TNA, if you went onto YouTube and looked up AJ Styles, there was so many like fan made promos of like
Him and
Cena
Cena.
and yeah, and it's one of those things where it was just like to even picture Cena and the Impact Zone, it's like, nah, it would never happen. Whereas like now it's like very much this could happen. Do you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
still a
and
thing
it'd be
of like you're
great. Like,
thinking, will it happen? But like it's will it ever happen rather than it'll never happen.
yeah,
Do you
yeah,
know? It's that different fucking element of it. So
mm,
um for me, the Netflix deal, I think it's great. Like Emmett said, he's watching Raw, SmackDown week. Like you had, it was 4 weeks behind, but you had a weekly Raw and SmackDown on the network. But I never ever tuned in, never.
no, never.
Every Tuesday, either I'll watch it live on the Monday if I'm too tired. The Tuesday, I will sit and I will watch Raw.
Mm.
The Saturday after work, I will watch SmackDown. NXT, I kind of watch in my free time, mostly when I go into fucking bed because it's a short program. So, I'm following it compared to when it was on the network. I wasn't following it, do you know? So I
Yeah,
completely agree. I think it's working great so far. I think the PLEs have worked great so far. I've not really had any complaints about it. Not had any like. I think there was like 1 week there was a few buffering issues, but that was fine. Look, it was once
yeah,
off. They
yeah.
learn from that fucking shit. I think it's worked a fucking treat, especially for us over here. And the no ads,
Oh, heaven.
we fucking needed that.
It's nuts how they actually like I don't know if we've any listeners in the States, but it is crazy how they do that with television. Like I remember when I lived there watching an episode of The Simpsons once, and there was four separate ad breaks in the 25-minute episode. Like that is
Whereas,
insane to me.
whereas here you'd have 1 5-minute ad break and the
Mm,
whole rest of the show.
that's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I must actually say, just finishing off on that point too, I think like the actual quality of especially Raw since the start of this year has been really, really good. Like I'll sit down and I'll watch an episode and like usually like what I used to do was I'd wait for the highlights to come up the following day and
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, what do I want to see? And I'd be caught up within 10 minutes then. Whereas now, like I want to see who Penta's working with this week. I want to see what Chad Gable is doing with this whole like Luchador Academy crack that they've doing at the moment. I want to see the tag titles defended every week. I want to see what the plan is with the New Day. I want to see Lyra Valkyrie. And I haven't even mentioned Punk, Drew, or Rollins or anything like that. I know Drew's going to SmackDown now. But there's just the show quality itself. There's so much going on, and it's all very good. Like, there's nothing on the show that I'm kind of like, a bit. I'm a little bit like that with Rhea Ripley at the moment. I love her to bits, but they're not really kind of using her in the way that they should be. I don't think because like they come off this feud with like Liv Morgan and everything like that. Neither of them are doing much. I know like Rhea had that small thing with what's her name with Nia Jax, but like I don't like Nia Jax either. So that was like such a fucking dud. But like I don't know. I'm rambling actually now, so we should probably move on.
The Emmett Ramble is back.
I know it's been a few years,
Now the
but it's
snore
back.
wasn't to you. Nia Jax is just boring as shit.
oh, she's the worst. Like, and I wouldn't mind. Like, I like big wrestlers. Like, I will sit down and watch. Like, this is such a mean comparison. I don't mean it to sound mean at all, but like, I'll watch like a Giant Haystacks Big Daddy match. Like, do you know what I mean? But she's just so boring. Like, I just can't. I can't. Ever since she broke Becky's nose, I'm just like not interested. Like, do you know what I mean? Hilarious in hindsight to think they tried to book that lady as a face once upon a time, and it's just like, what? Like,
And that lovely question came from one of our friends over at the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show, one of the old bucks, the Big Moro, who he actually said, Shane won't let me speak about this, and I'm locked in his basement.
do you have a
Anyways,
Netflix subscription in the
Edward Tate
basement?
is a prick. That's all I want to say on that one. Um, extremely weird question. The Bosch Bros are the future. Bosch Bros number 1 fan.
They do be shifting viewers like 90. They're two very talented young fellas.
For fuck's sake.
I want those glasses too, like.
The Bosch ones.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Big up the Bosch Bros. We love the Bosch Bros. Except for Beamish. I don't know about him. He's a weird one. This is a little insight to. I don't even know if he'll want us talking about it, but why didn't Carmo go in the Rumble? What's he talking about, Emmett?
Why didn't Camo go in the Rumble? I cannot remember. Was this the Black Rabbit show?
There was a Hard Knocks Black. So just for backstory, Carmo has actually done a bit of training. I think like
Hmm.
a week or two, or maybe even a month of like wrestling training with Hard Knocks many times ago. And the last Black Rabbit show, he was going to do a one-off little spot in the Rumble, and that was it. But I think because it was asked of that day, just it was it wasn't prepared. I can tell you, like he was, and I'd be the exact same. He was fairly nervous. He was fairly nervous.
Ah,
Like, do you know, like when you get feel sick in your stomach, nervous. So and
was he
like,
that bad?
oh my god, when he found out it wasn't happening, which was accidental when he found out, as in like they no one had told someone else that was happening. The
Hmm.
fucking it's like the weight of his shoulders just gone. He was just you
Hmm.
saw instant relaxation in his face, and then we tried to like because we're like saying to the person like can we continue to get him in, but Carmo he was so I'm out of it that he was like
Hmm.
no it's done no
Yeah.
it's done no.
That's a
Which
hard
would have been
environment to.
it would have been very cool for Carmo to say done it. I've done a bit of the training. I've gone in, and done something. Um,
Hmm.
and then we have a nice little, look at this, clicks and views, and
Did he pick his entrance music for him?
I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you.
Uh, because I'd be like, if I was there, because I was working that night, so I couldn't go. But like, if I like was able to go and I arrived after you, none of this, and if I heard like Creed's Higher and he just walked out,
Do,
I'd
do,
be like, no
me
way.
higher.
I still want to get the video of like, do you know when Cena and Batista eliminated each other from the '05 Rumble, but like Karma at the side of the ring just being like, oh Jesus.
But if people go back to the last episode, the Rumble episode, that we did, yeah, we kind of hinted when we are saying like they're all, oh, it was supposed to be a surprise and blah blah, and they
Oh
obviously
yes,
playing it
yes.
off. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
playing it off. Next topic: The
Okay.
Miz is top 5 of all time.
Miz is top five of all time.
Do you
Is that
agree?
the um I can say this much. I really like The Miz. As a wrestler and as a
Because he's
person, like,
awesome.
oh, 100%. Like, one of the happiest moments I've had as a fan was when he cashed in that money in the bank and won back in like 2010, I think it was, on Randy Orton. It's like day after Survivor Series. It's when you get the Miz girl meme and everything. Like, I remember just thinking, even like, I know people say at Mania 27, like, that was like peak me watching it when I was younger and stuff. And I remember like when he came out like when he came out to wrestle Cena, and there was like the awesome and the balloons and they separated. He got the long leather trench coat and it was with Alex Ray. I thought it was the coolest shit ever.
Of
Top,
course you did.
top, top five of all time though.
I'd say no.
I'd say no too because you can't really compare. Like, consider like he's done so much. Maybe when he retires, I'll think differently. But like, I wouldn't put Miz up there with the likes of like a Randy Savage or like a Stone Cold or anything like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Definitely like if you were to put up like the collage photos of like 30 wrestlers where it's like, do you know, the best wrestlers of like every generation together, I would put him into something like that now,
Yeah, yeah.
100%. Like, because he will,
Yeah, I
he's
agree
gonna
with
be
that.
one. Yeah, like he's gonna be. Do you know? This is the best way I can pass him. He's not in the top five. Like he's not a Mount Rushmore wrestler or anything like this. But I would definitely put him as one of. Oh, I don't want to phrase it like that. I'll try and give a comparison. He's not one of the best of all time, but he would be like someone like a. I'm not going to be able to. That the point is wasted. It's absolute wasted. You can ignore me
I
now. I
think if you
can't
put
think
it,
of who
if you
to
go
compare him
like through
to.
like generations of wrestling, you have like the new era or whatever, new age or what the fuck ever what it's called, to the
Hmm.
Attitude Era, to for I'd say 2000 from 2010 to even today, he's been able to one stay relevant,
Yeah.
reinvent himself, will have one of the best characters, some of the best matches, have some of the most entertaining and memorable moments in the WWE, but he's not at the top five level.
No. No.
He isn't. He is, I think, one of the few two time, maybe even the only two time Grand Slam champion. So he won the titles and won all the titles again. So that's a testament to the Miz. But I wouldn't put him in the top five. I would not. He's great on the mic, great character. He's great in ring. One of my favorite moments, obviously, SmackDown Live 2016,
Oh
the
yeah.
never ending Intercontinental Championship World Tour, Dolph Ziggler storyline. All absolutely amazing times. Even when he went to Raw, the
Mm.
Miz Taraj. You know, you got the Miz Taraj over.
Yeah.
It's a testament to him. And how badly did we want to see the Miz versus Daniel Bryan when Bryan was completely out of it? And then when you got that
Mm.
moment of Kurt Angle coming up and like, oh yeah, I got a phone call. Apparently, the former general manager of SmackDown is really adamant of getting you over there. He still has pull, and the crowd being like, oh my god, it's gonna happen. Oh my fucking god, it's
Mm.
gonna happen. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. It's the best way to describe him. He is definitely one of the most versatile professional wrestlers of all time. Because while having the same gimmick throughout his career, which has just been like, you know, loudmouth and everything like this, he's had so many like different like gimmicks at the same time.
He's
Like when
got
he
big
had
balls.
yeah, when he had like Damien Sandow as like the stunt
Oh my
double.
fucking
Like
god, the stunt double
yeah,
stuff.
it was brilliant. I mean, like the tag team with John Morrison back in the day, I was a huge fan of them as a tag team when I was a kid. You've obviously the run he had with the WWE title. He could do straight laced stuff too. Like he could cut a serious promo when he has to. He can also be a feckin' Egypt when he has to. Do you know what I mean? I think at times they might have pushed him being a little bit of an Egypt too much because when he won the WWE title the second time, he didn't really kind of like look or feel like a credible champ. Now I know it was a transitional, he was a transitional champion to build to what they wanted to do at Mania, like, but I don't know. I was really happy the second time he won the belt as well. But I again, just to go off on the question, I wouldn't put him as a top five of all time or whatever like this.
That's fair.
Definitely one of my favorites ever, 100%. But top five, no.
That's fair. I'll let you answer this first because I'll just go on a tangent. Does Charlotte Flair deserve her shot at WrestleMania?
No, but I'm happy to see it because I think it's a good match for Tiffany Stratton, and I think for her first Mania and everything like that, like she needed a big match. And if Becky is out and everything like that, and obviously Rhea has the you don't like Rhea has the women's world title and everything like this, you don't want to put yourselves in a situation like Joe. She's the best option they had basically at the moment. So I understand the logic and everything like that. Like, do you know what I mean? And like, do you know, now I would be pissed. I'd be really mad if Tiffany Stratton loses that match and she loses the belt to Charlotte. I'd be very mad because like she is genuinely like one of the most like trending names in professional wrestling right now, which is can often be very hard for women wrestlers to kind of get that level of interest with the public and everything,
Hmm.
which sounds awful, but it's true. Do you know what I mean? But like Tiffany Stratton has mainstream attention, everything like that, and she's not going to be a big star. She's already a star. Do you know what I mean? Like so, if they do the right thing and they have Charlotte put her over, I'm happy with it. But if Charlotte wins that belt, oh, and I don't think she deserves it. That promo when she came back that Monday on Raw, it's the most awkward thing I've ever seen in my life. Trying to be a straight-laced babyface, whatever, the crowd were just not having any of it. They were just like, it was, they weren't even giving her like heat. They were just ignoring the fact that she was there. And like, with the way Netflix do it now, when they show us what's happening in ring during like when the outbreaks are happening and everything. And there was like Charlotte just pointing at the crowd and like waving to them, and like people were like flipping her off and like thumbs down and everything like this. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, cut the camera away, show the exterior of the building or something. Like, this is terrible. But to answer the question, no, I don't think she's deserving of it, but I am looking forward to seeing it. Only if Tiffany goes over.
I've always said I will never, ever, ever deny Charlotte Flair's ability.
Hmm.
I think she is great in ring, mediocre on the mic, but I fucking hate this. Charlotte Flair returns, put a belt on her shit. Charlotte Flair returns, let her win the big match. I fucking despise it. This is literally the modern day John Cena in terms of winning fucking constantly. I now know how all those people felt, because I was too young, back then with John Cena. And once she came out of the Rumble, like Will contest, I was just like, for fuck's sake. And then when she won, I turned it off.
You turned off the whole thing over.
I only until the time I started. I watched Celebration. I was very pissed off. Only time I've ever turned off a Rumble and never watched it till the next day was when Nia Jax returned.
Understandable. That'll be our next t-shirt. It's just I'm not going to say fuck Nia Jax, that's weird, but like I don't know, a different word. Boo Nia Jax. That'd be our t-shirt.
Yeah, boo Nia Jax. Boo.
Yeah.
Fuck the Flares. Woo!
Not literally, please. Ric Flair here's like, don't threaten me with a good time, brother.
I hate that shit. I hate that she comes back, she gets the win, she gets the big match. I agree with you. I hope Tiffany goes over. It is a big match for her, but I'm sorry, but she's taking the belt at Mania. She just is.
Oh, if she did,
And
I'm
it's gonna
telling
be
you now.
so shit.
Oh, I'm actually away, not the Saturday that Mania is on, the Sunday for the second day. I'm not. I'm going away to something like that. So I'm hoping that that match is that day, so that like Joe, if Charlotte does
You don't have to watch it.
exactly, yeah. Oh, Jesus, because I'd imagine like. I don't know what the logic is here with the way that they book Charlotte. And I won't go into it because we have obviously more questions to cover and stuff. But like, I don't get why they just put her into that sole prime position
Because she
all the time
needs
with
to
it.
have the women's 16-time world champion gimmick.
But she's still quite. She's not super young, like in ring wise, but like she's
Woohoo!
got all the time in the world. She'll do that.
Woohoo!
Like think about the other women on that roster, right?
Woohoo!
But if you think about it, like you've got Bailey. Bailey doesn't
Woo!
feel credible at all. She had like a title opportunity there the week that the was it the first week or the second week of the Netflix thing. Did you see that match with Tiffany Stratton? Couldn't give it a bollocks. I love Tiffany Stratton and everything like this. It's just putting someone in that prime of a position weakens the integrity of the rest of your roster by proxy. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like the Charlotte Flair effect or something. It's just ridiculous logic. Like,
Woo!
that'll
Next.
be the real now.
Every time I say woo. Next one, and I'll let you answer first because mine's gonna be super quick.
Okay.
How did you both get into wrestling?
Okay. So the first time I ever saw anything to do with wrestling, I was very, very young, didn't know what it was in my Uncle Packy's house, God rest his soul, which funnily is across from where Carmo lives. And my cousins Donal and Garrod, who are both huge wrestling fans, and Garrod actually lives on that street too, funnily enough. And I work on that street too, which is quite funny. But my two older cousins, anyways, they're both happily married and everything now, not together. But they were watching Bret Hart and Sting in a ring, right?
Jesus fucking Christ.
But get yeah, sorry, my brain isn't working today. But
Like
but get
all this needless information.
I am
By the
so
way, they
sleep
have a
deprived.
dog and they have a goldfish too. The goldfish's name is Jerry. The dog's name is Pat.
Oh Jesus! But anyways, long story short, they were watching some WCW show and it was like Sting and Bret Hart, and I very briefly remember seeing like Stinger do the splash, whatever like that, into the corner. Came home to my grandmother's house and started doing that on the couch. But I started watching like wrestling was like super like around me and everything all the time because like I grew up during like the ruthless aggression era and stuff. So like you call over to someone's house, lads who didn't even watch wrestling were playing like SmackDown, Shut Your Mouth, and everything, and here comes the pain. So it was always hyper present. I remember getting like wrestling trading cards and stuff at one point. I started watching wrestling in 2008. We got the channels like the Sky channels and stuff, and I remember seeing SummerSlam away being advertised, and the main hype for that was John Cena versus Batista and everything. But I didn't start watching properly until they used to have the show called the WWE Experience, which was like
Yeah.
an hour-long highlights show, and they would show that on a Sunday morning on Sky One. So I ended up just flicking through the channels, and they were running this very short program between Rey Mysterio and Kane. I remember hearing all this stuff about Kane when I was in school about like the mask and everything like this. And I watched that episode of WWE Experience, and I was like, okay, and like a little bit on and off and everything. Then for like a few weeks, November 14th, that episode of SmackDown when Jeff Hardy faced the Undertaker in the Extreme Rules match that was recorded over in the UK, I think. That was pinpoint where I started watching wrestling, and I stayed watching wrestling after Jeff Hardy won the WWE title. So if that run hadn't happened and Kane and Mysterio hadn't had their little feud, I probably wouldn't have ended up sticking around with wrestling stuff. But I
Fucking
did come
hell.
away from it for a long time as well. Only came back to because of this when we started working together and the thought of the podcast and everything
You're
came up. We
welcome,
started
everybody. I
actively.
am the reason for this.
Yeah, and now, funny enough, I watch wrestling more now than I ever did before. But yeah, I think a big draw to it too, to be honest, was I always loved like comic books and stuff as a kid, and wrestling is full of like big animated characters and stuff, and especially a program like that where it's like Kane and Rey Mysterio, who are two like larger than life characters appearance wise, and then Taker and Jeff Hardy, who at the time both larger than life too. Maybe it was that that drew me to it, but yeah, that was a very long-winded way to answer that, but yeah.
Oh my god. So mine's very, very easy. It was a tag match between Charlie Haas and Rico versus Rikishi and Sky 2 Hottie. And the moment of seeing Rico take the Sting face, that was just it for me, man. I was hooked to wrestling, and that I one day I wanted to be in that corner getting the Sting face. So yeah, the honest answer is I have no clue. I've always watched wrestling. I don't know what the first wrestling thing I ever watched. I don't know what the first time I ever saw wrestling. I have no clue. Wrestling has just always been a part of my life. Always. So please,
Were your
my
well, I was
dad,
just going
my,
to ask.
my dad was a fan. He loved Steve Austin.
Ah,
Out of
yeah.
frame on a camera, there's a stone cold shrine above my head. So like he was watching it, so it was through him. But how I became a fan, what the first moment of wrestling I ever saw, I could not tell you. I honest to God couldn't tell you. It's just always been there. And like even like my granny jump got rest her soul now, she was going to those old Irish wrestling shows and English wrestling shows. So it's like she
Hmm.
remembered what's that guy you're always talking about? Uh
Like giant taste acts.
yeah, so she's seeing all
Yeah.
of them.
Hmm.
At random fucking venues from 19, whenever the fuck I might have been. So like obviously it just was passed down, but there's never ever in the 26 years that I haven't had wrestling. I've
Hmm.
always been a wrestling fan. Always.
That's really cool to hear about your grandmother as well, because like you'd never told me that before. And my grandmother, who's gone now over 20 years there, my mother's mother, she used to work in the West County in Ennis, County Clare, and they used to have the odd show there back in like the 70s and the 80s. And my grandmother has a signed photo of Giant Haystack stuff. She used to work in the kitchen there and everything like that. So there's every chance if your grandmother was going to those shows that like if she had dinner and stuff inside there, anyways, it was my grandmother who was probably cooking it inside there. So it's funny how things come around. Like,
fucking blame her. God damn it. Look who I'm fucking stuck with now. Jesus fucking Christ. This one is a complete you answer, and please give the short side of the story.
Yeah,
What
sorry.
made you start the podcast?
Okay, so we started the podcast. Long story short, I
So
knew
tell the true
Carmo and Mar
story.
I knew Carmo and Martin out individually, but they had never met. And the two are the biggest wrestling fans I've ever met that I'm not related to. And I know Carmo for years. We went to school and everything together. And Martin I'd only met maybe a few months prior, but every day we were working together, Martin would be talking about this is going on with wrestling and this. And I knew a little bit because I was still following the dirt sheets, but I wasn't like watching at the time. It's I was supposed to go to Dublin on a trip and I got COVID, so I was isolated at home. And I sat right over there in front of my telly and I was watching a cage match that was America's Most Wanted versus Eli Skipper and someone else I can't remember. And it was because of the two lads, because both of them had individually texted me about different bits to do with wrestling that evening because I was stuck at home. And I just randomly made a group chat. I made the logo and everything like this
What was it called
before I
originally?
even it was going to be the three marks. And it was going to be very different. The middle of it wasn't a luchador mask. It was actually someone like body slamming someone and stuff, which we'll probably be able to find that somewhere, right? But I messaged the lads that never met each other, and my logic was these are two massive wrestling nerds that have not many people to talk to about wrestling. Let's get them together. So the two lads agreed. We met up several months later. We got food. Funny enough, our friends Kevin and Keane were there as well. So very quick, like the general premise of the podcast was originally to have a podcast that anyone who didn't watch wrestling, casually watched wrestling, or obsessed with wrestling could listen to and stuff. It was never ever meant to be an Irish-based wrestling podcast because we didn't really know about the Irish wrestling scene or that it even existed. And we started recording episodes in May and everything like that. And our logic was it went from the three marks to five because I was like, there's a different level of fandom here with every member. You've myself, who was like at the time out the loop. You've got Martin and Carmo, who are obsessed with wrestling, who watch everything. And then you have Kevin, who used to watch years and years and years ago. And then you've got Keane, who's never watched. So there was a little bit of
But a
something for
big
everyone.
fan of Kane.
And a big fan of Kane, though. Has a Kane costume and everything. He's over in Australia now. And I can see him like sunbathing in the thing.
I,
But yeah, no, long story short, basically there was two reasons for starting the podcast. One, my logic, get Martin and Carmo in context. They both have people that they could talk to about wrestling. And two, set up a show that was a satirical look at pro wrestling, basically. And it's completely changed the time since we started, as every podcast does. And I genuinely think for the better. But yeah, it was a lot of fun recording those earlier episodes and stuff now.
and
I
the
must
third
I go
reason
back to them
too
quite a lot.
is that we're
What was
massive
third?
marks of Chris families.
Very true. Very, very, very true. And I would tell you this as God is my witness, that man will be on an episode of the Five Marks at some point.
You fucking better be.
He will. He will be 100%. Going to manifest this now, like, do you know what I mean? I've seen these things on Instagram where like people are like, if you take these three rocks here and you wrap them up in a purple ball and you dig them 8 foot to the ground and you say someone's name 8 times, they'll pick up the phone and they'll call you like this. So that's what we're going to do with
How
Chris Van
drunk were you
Vliet.
last night?
I wasn't drunk at all last night.
Are you sure?
I was working till 10 o'clock. Like.
Oh God, even worse. It wasn't rocks he was burying.
Oh, jeez. No, I don't know how it even came up, Marie, because I have absolutely no idea what that's related to.
The
It's like,
voice you did as well
you
was
know,
perfect.
yeah. Do you know what that voice comes from? Is have you seen those skits? And it's like every British soap opera ever is like, give me back that to the gravy. You can't have that. And your man falls off the ladder. It's just the Coronation Street music blaring. Oh, God.
This is a good question now. What match do you want to see in Irish wrestling that no one has thought of? I've actually got a
Oh,
good
well,
one that I want to
I'll
see,
let you.
mainly because
Yeah.
two big beefy boys slap meat. Santos versus Steve Savage in Hard
Yeah.
Knocks. I'd love to see Santos down
Mm.
in Hard Knocks. Would love it.
I've actually got one that I thought of inside and work randomly a few months ago because I was thinking about Hard Knocks and like cool feuds you could do in Hard Knocks with underutilized talents. I would love to see Damien Corvin and Terry Thatcher
Oh
have like a
yeah.
proper straight
Oh
like
yes.
it's like have like Damien just firing him like body slamming him into the turnbuckles and into the post on the outside and then have Terry like kamikaze throwing his body to keep Corvin out. I don't know if they've ever worked together, possibly in tag matches and stuff. That would fucking slap. I like you don't
I
even need
agree.
to have a belt involved. That would be so so good. Just let us book your shows to anyone out there. We have no prior
I
experience,
fucking wouldn't.
no educated knowledge.
Francis Mercer's the world champion. Galaccini is whatever mid card champion until he gets to the world titles level. Socially are tag team champions, and then you might be different. Corey Zero is my women's champion.
Well, yeah, I can see that. We haven't much female talent to use, so we're gonna have a three-woman division basically, or four maybe.
He'd bring over Lizzie Evo. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Next question. John Cena should never, ever win the world title again.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You agree? That's fair.
I agree. I'm easy either way, but my logic here is like if the year
That's okay.
is a
I'm listening.
chase,
I'm listening.
if the year is a chase, and if it ends with Cena's last match being the final opportunity to do that, it's like a really that the story is great because it's a tragic ending. Someone retiring shouldn't be a happy thing because you're essentially losing the person. Now, oh my god, the headband and everything.
I can't put it on because the headphone.
Okay, that is the whitest thing you've ever
No,
done
it's
on the
not.
show now.
No, it's not. You've seen worse. One second. There we go. I can't put it
No,
on,
no,
but you
no.
know.
On the podcast it is. On the
I
podcast it's
don't. I don't know
definitely
what you're
the.
talking about, Emmett.
You should
I
just
don't
show
know
off your
what.
tattoo now at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Do
Originally, that was gonna be
But
where I
yeah,
was
no,
gonna
if
say it. But I went with never give up instead.
do you remember the guy that we worked with who used to like look at that all the time? I don't know if I can repeat what he would say about it on air, but
He was a weirdo. I don't mind either way. I really don't mind either way
yeah.
if John Cena does it or not. I'm putting this back on because I think it's funny to do this little like bit. Um, I really don't care if John beats the record. It's I think he should because it's a new record to beat. Then do you know, like Ric
Hmm.
Flair's had the record for how long? Do you know?
Oh, years,
It's
yeah.
it's something new to be. Do you know, it's no longer who's going to be Ric Flair's 16-time world championship run. It's who's going to be John Cena's 17-time world championship run. You know, so it's
Hmm.
something new to beat. Which Charlotte Flair will beat that in 2 years, anyways, when she's a 30-time world champion.
Yeah.
Um, I don't mind either way. So all this stuff was just completely pointless of me putting on to be like the biggest you can see me John Cena fan. Ultimately, I was just doing what Will would have done.
Yeah. Do you know, I'm going to say something as well, because I don't know if you know about this now, right? But this whole thing about like the 17 being the record and everything this is something entirely fabricated by WCW and WWE. There is active talent and people who have passed away and stuff who held well over 17 world
Yeah, but if
titles.
you ask
So a
Ric
lot,
Flair, he's held about 40.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? But like, no, there was a load of guys in Mexico who've done it. Do you know what I mean? There's quite a lot of names. So the 17 is I was about to say it's propaganda, but
It's
for
just
what?
it's just a WWE thing, you know. That's like if,
Yeah.
if they started like, oh, Will Ospreay's had 45-star matches. Who's gonna beat that? Do you know?
Mm.
It's just hype. That's all it is. It's just
Oh,
hype.
that's it. Yeah.
Big shout out again to the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show. The big beefy boy asking that one. I'm gonna take all this stuff off now. The bit's over. Speaking of Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling,
Yes, sir.
and this is where we get into the nitty gritty. Again, I'll let you go first, Mister.
Ooh.
We don't have a nickname for you yet, Schmick.
Yeah, that's it. That's what everyone
What do
calls
you
me. So.
make of the current booking and shows of Hard Knocks as of late?
Uh, honestly, not very good. And I want them to do well. So it's not like I'm not saying that in a spiteful way. But yeah, look, especially last week's one. Some of the matches were great. The main event I really, really did enjoy. But now this is a one thing. This is a me gripe now. Like we're living, there's a cost of living crisis going on. Things are expensive. 90 minutes for a 25 quid show is not on. Pretty much, like like when we go to these shows and everything like this, we do put a lot of money behind, like between You guys buying loads of merch. We always get dinner inside in Dolan's as well. I'll have a few pints because I'm usually off that
Not
day and the following day
always.
and everything like that. Well,
Quite
yeah, well,
reasonably.
most. Well, two shows, and
Yeah.
it's not cheap to eat there, like, But
But it is
yeah,
Friars,
do you know
don't
what I
care.
mean? Yeah.
He gets the steak.
Oh yeah, Jesus. But yeah, no, going back to the question, everything like that, like 90 minutes for 25 is just not on it. When you're paying for a wrestling show, I am a firm believer in going to wrestling shows over 15 years. You're paying essentially for an evening out. And I don't mean a night out where you're going on the piss. You're paying for an evening out. And like I know people who've ran shows in Dolan's for years and everything like that. I know it's an expensive venue to rent out and everything like this, right? But at the same token, if you knew the card was going to be short, either try and extend the show some bit, get people in, do you know what I mean? Get extra talent in or whatever like that. I know the change of date was probably why that ended up happening, but it's just not on. €25 for 95 or for 90 minutes of entertainment is not on because I have gone to see big bands inside and Dolan's. I've seen Cannibal Corpse and everything like that who charge €25 for like a ticket, right? And there are big, big bands and everything like this. And there was four bands on that bill, and Cannibal Corpse played for over an hour and a bit as well. Do you know what I mean? Like I said this in private, like only today when we were talking about the show length and everything. That if the next Hard Knock show I go to in the warehouse, if there's any carry on like that where that card is really really short, I will not go to another Hard Knock show again. And that is me being deadly honest because I am not paying €25 for like 4 or 5 matches and to be going home that early and everything like this. Like
Well, there
I
was
enjoy
six
those shows
matches.
because there's 6 matches, yeah. Do you know what I mean? But like, could be given more time or stuff like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Or take the intermission. Do you know what I mean? And I know for some of they're going to be like, oh sure, got to go home early and that's great and everything like this. I like the social aspect of those shows. I like meeting people at the shows. I like talking to the boys and everything like that. I like talking to the Dolan staff. And it's just, and I know it's not really anyone's fault and circumstances happen and everything like that, but just that was a big great. And there's inconsistencies with the booking too. Like the shows are becoming very similar. And like that, as long as they don't run very short like that, I'll always go. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know. It's just comparing it to the first 6 months. It's not great. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's a big point that yourself and Caro have actually said before. What they're missing is stories going from show to show, and we had that in Hard Knocks before. Do you know what I mean? Make a plan for 3 shows. You don't have to do it for a year. Just look 3 shows ahead. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like they've all the hands in the world, and the venue is great and everything like this. It's literally just that there's just inconsistencies with stuff, and it's nothing to do with in-ring stuff, or of course, like do you know what I mean? It's just small little things like storylines and everything like that too. Like do you know what I mean? Like we had storylines when
Took away
Terry
my
was champ and
answer.
everythone like this. Oh, sorry.
You
Well,
just
on
took
that
away
one,
my
I'll let
answer.
you.
But that's my answer every time.
Ah,
I've said this before.
no.
Stories are everything to me. I have been so privileged, and especially I won't like the Justy Steve promo to get to
Mm,
make that, to get to make for Terry and Sam, for Steve and Sam, to make the promo. I love stories. I love fucking putting the shit together, and people going, "Wow, that's fucking brilliant," or even like the last one. Getting told like that promo is great because anyone who hasn't been who wasn't around for the Steve Justy stuff, they get the story through that
mm.
promo, which I was very happy to receive that praise. Stories, stories. Make a plan, fucking go with it. I love that type of shit. I do think now as well. There's a load of people that I think before the end of 2025, you have to pull the trigger. We pulled the fucking trigger at Galacini. Thank fuck. He is the
Mm.
biggest fucking name in Hard Knocks. I miss Axel. I wish they got the tag titles. I think in the next couple of months, Francis Mercer has to be fucking the trigger has to be. He gets the loudest reception
Mm.
in Dolan's. He is he is the one who has to beat Steve Savage. He has to beat Steve Savage. It is the passing of the torch. That just needs to be it for me. I think you have tag teams like Strong Style who are absolutely brilliant. They're on a building phase right now, but within the next year, I definitely would pull the trigger on them.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I'd love to see more Jay down there. I think a story between Jay and Mercer again could be great. Even finish the story with Jay and Steve. Um, I've it's fucking obvious. I've the work title set fucking behind me. I love Hard Knocks. Absolutely love Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling. It is the local promotion. I want them here for as
Hmm.
many fucking years to come. Seeing people not coming down from Dublin anymore, or the show's not selling out anymore, is very disheartening. And I want to get the fucking people back to Hard Knocks, because
Mm.
I think we have a brilliant promotion down here. We have a brilliant fucking venue down here. If we start doing some stories, we build interest, we get to bigger shows, we get bigger names. So I would love that for Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling. I'd love to go to a Hard Knocks show, whether it's in the Milk Market. Maybe you can go back to, what's that place called that they were going to originally, the Complex or some shit like that. You know, if we
Mm.
fucking travel around to fucking Galway, or wherever the fuck, or travel around Munster, it would be absolutely amazing. I love Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling. I want the absolute best for Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling. I love the guys down there. Francis Mercer, go fuck yourself, Robbie Mack. Galaccini, Cormac, Bosch Bros are fucking brilliant. Love chatting to those lads. I have all the time of day for Chris and Reardon. All the time of day for them. Butch, who trains down there as well. They're such good uh, guys and gals down there who are on the rise. I want Hard Knocks to be there forever. And I
Mhm.
want people to start going back down to the shows. So check out Infinity Brawl, March 23rd, I think it is.
But
Get down
there's
to
like there's
those.
a load of ways that that can be fixed though. It's very very small things that would get that crowd back, and I think reducing the amount of shows a year, all right, to save yourself a bit of cost would be one. While also, well,
I don't think
not
so.
reduce.
I think that would drop my interest as well. I
Oh
like
no,
going to these
I'm not
shows,
saying I'm not saying like sorry, I'm not phrasing that terribly. I don't mean outright. I mean just in the warehouse. So like you have your four warehouse shows, and then in between we're going to do the Black Rabbit. We're going to chance this place inside in Galway. Let's go down to Cork and chance this place. Test the waters with it a small bit. Do you know what I mean? So you still have your shows happening, and you can increase the amount of shows and everything, bringing in more profit and everything like that. But those four Limerick shows, you can nearly, if you move it to a Saturday rather than a Sunday, build it as like an evening out. Do you know what I mean? People have planned their dinner around it. People have planned like, right, do you know, people who don't watch wrestling will plan nights around that. I know so many people that went to early Hard Knock shows up until early last year, and their whole logic was, oh, sure, it's a night out for the wrestling. It's just down the road and everything. And that's when shows were selling out. Do you know what I mean? Because there was consistency and everything like what was happening in the ring, and storylines are mattering because you had to go and take tournaments and all that, and you had Gala and Axel doing their thing, and that drew in the Limerick crowd and everything like that. There's a lot of stuff. I will end up going on a rant or a ramble about this now, but it's just very small things. Just switch your approach and how you try and promote that show. I think with Hard Knocks, you need to like don't just look at wrestling fans because you're in Limerick City. Limerick, man, is a very eclectic, diverse city. People who are born and raised in Limerick are very outlandish characters, and they have a very specific sense of humor, and it's very, very endearing. And that made those early shows. We've mentioned so many examples of it over the 2 years Hard Knocks has ran. You're a man at the first show who was slowly sinking down into the bar as the show went on. And then you had another fill out one recently enough and everything like this. And during matches, he was just shouting out the names of places in Limerick for absolutely no reason in the strongest accent in the world. Boys heckling with that Gary Owen accent and everything like this. It's brilliant, like, do you know what I mean? But I don't know. I think they will come back, but it just get storylines, get consistency back into it, and most importantly, get the shows up on YouTube. Some of those shows had literally thousands of views on them. Do you know what I mean? I've rewatched some of those shows several times because of the fact that they're there and the shows were great. And I would gladly watch back shows again if the consistency comes back. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Rant over.
We're coming up to an hour and 10, so I'm gonna wrap things up. We still have a load more questions. I'd actually love to do this again. I've really enjoyed sitting here doing this. I'd actually love
Yeah.
to leave. I'm gonna take a screenshot of all the questions because we have an OTT one as well. It's not just Arnott's, we have an OTT question as well. That
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to actually do this as another episode.
Yeah, sounds good. I've enjoyed this anyways.
Yeah,
Like, do you know what I mean? And
I've
even like
actually
that, we'd
loved
have
I've loved sitting down here talking about some takes, talking about some wrestling. That I think this would be a great kind of a part two episode.
yeah, definitely. I'm.
An episode. Do you know
I
we've
can't
we've
believe we
gone
just
questions about the curtain call. I get to do a Tony Khan rant. Someone's asked about Tony
Rod.
Khan. Rant.
You should
Someone
just call him
someone
Rods.
someone's asked about Tony Khan, so that's gonna be fun. That's I need at least 20 minutes for that. Uh, we have a big named wrestler. Are they overrated? So, as well, wrestling it is. We have a load more questions to do. I know I'm not answering them now. I've enjoyed this, and since the 40-minute mark, I'm sat here going, this would be a brilliant fucking part two as well. I think we could really get a few episodes out of
Mm,
this. So the long story of the last one is we absolutely love Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling. We appreciate the
mm,
everything that Hard Knocks has given us, has done for us. We have Hard Knocks to running coming up very very soon. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks.
mm.
Just some final touches being done to it. I've loved this. I think, as I said, part two has to be within the next month.
Yeah,
Whenever we get Emmett.
100%.
Whenever we get Emmett again. He's a very hard man to book. His fee is crazy. Is there any
And
final.
that's
Oh, go on.
no, it's just that's just for appearances. Do you know what I mean? For me to work, oh,
There's a
God needs
reason
to get a
why I'm
mortgage
ending
out.
this at an hour and 10 minutes, is because if we go to an hour and 20, it's another fucking 40 quid on top of it.
I'm not actually a worker. I'm actually just a prostitute as well to make things even worse. I had to get one dodgy one in there at some point, but no, just wrapping up. I think all I'd say is that yeah, just especially going off that last one. I do have massive, massive love for everyone involved in Hard Knocks and everything like that. And it's not like, again, it's not like a very, very harsh criticism. But the one thing I am harsh about though, that 90-minute show, if it's in the warehouse and there's 25 euro being charged for a ticket, man, it, it's going to be like, you know, a 2 hour show, 2.5 hours, 90 minutes with no intermission. Oh my God. Like it just felt like we were getting started with the show finished, which I know sounds like a compliment, but it was like a bit deflating walking out after that. Like, you know, but again, that was probably due to circumstance and everything like that. I have massive love and respect for all involved in Hard Knocks. They've been very, very good to us, like you said, initially allowing you guys to do the interviews and stuff like that upstairs and all that type of stuff, and now with the running and everything like that as well. But yeah, I just want to see a bit of a return for him. It's definitely going to happen and everything like that because all involved are doing great things. You know, the turnaround is coming, like you know. But as well as that, just because we have it's 3 years since we sent the text and everything like this, I've never actually said this on an episode of the podcast and everything like that. But
I
I do
hate the
want to extend.
podcast.
Yeah, it's fucking shit. No, no, no. I actually just want to extend a sincere thank you to everyone that actually supports the podcast by like even the response to that now with the Q&A and everything, we got like a load of questions point that we could do a two-part episode, which is fantastic. Like, do you know what I mean? And the people who have like come up to us at shows and everything, and like I see you guys engaging with, you know, like listeners that you've like made a good amount now at shows and everything like that. It's just been very cool to see it grow from like a very small idea actually over there to essentially what you and Carmo have made it into now, which is absolutely fantastic. So just to the people who've supported us along the way and everything like that, thank you very much.
And shout out to our beautiful, beautiful little boy, Will, for all the brilliant work he's doing as well. He'll kill me if I don't do this again. Please go over to the Five Marks Extra YouTube channel. Check out the
Hmm.
gaming content we have over there with more content, clips, exclusive interviews, all coming on over on that channel very, very soon. It's a work in progress. Please bear with us. We might even rethink about the name. Go over, link in the description, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. Hit that like button if you want to see more content from Emmett. 50 likes and Emmett will come back.
50 likes and this shirt comes off.
75 and I'll do it too. Don't forget as well to ding dong that bell so this way you see every episode coming up in your notification bar. Make sure to follow us on all our socials. Five Marks Pod on X and TikTok. Five Marks Podcast everywhere else. Buy what's remaining of our merch as well. You can find that in our description too. It's been a fun episode. I've really enjoyed it. Emmett, thank you so much for coming on.
Hmm.
We need Carol
Yeah,
to be
it's
sick
almost
and
like
Will to be busy a lot more.
No, do you know what it is? And this is one thing I don't think I've actually said enough as well, because I do get asked all the time, like, you know, why haven't you been on episodes and stuff? I work in healthcare. So my roster changes all the time. I would love to be on every week and everything like that, but it's just not possible all the time and everything. But 100%, we will do a part two of this. Like 100%.
Oh,
It's been a lot of
1000%.
fun to record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 1000%. I'm
Hope,
literally going
hope,
screenshotting those questions right now, and we're
mhm.
gonna record it within the next week. To
Oh,
have that coming
definitely.
out
Yeah.
at some point. But so expect it within the next month of content, because I think it's a great episode. We might do this a lot more as well. Just ask you guys for your hot takes, for questions for us and stuff like that. As I said, look forward to episode part two, because as I said, OTT is still to come up. Who is the
Yeah.
overrated wrestler that this person's talking about? Is Will gonna turn up in his underwear? Please God no. But thank you all so much for listening. Emma, it's been a while. Take it away.
No, do you know the
And I
funniest thing
won't
is
I
about
won't I won't cut you off on the edit this time. Sorry, guys.
Oh, I forgot about that actually. Yeah. But the funniest part about how we end this podcast is because we had a time constraint in the first episode and we had to wrap it up. And I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah. So for this week's episode of the Five Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself and Martin, we are officially ding, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diddly, 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 diddly.